Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
Again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, a platform, a wonderful platform, a platform that is ever expanding with great individuals like the one that's next to me that are focused on solving problems. We celebrate you here on this particular podcast because you are bold, brave, you dare greatly, and you're changing lives and you are changing the world. That's why we celebrate you on this podcast. And as you can tell by the buzz in the background, sort of buzz in the background, it's pretty calmed down. But we are here at the Q1, first quarter of OMG, and it's a collection, once again, of incredible professionals that are solving problems. And if you have a problem, I guarantee you need to reach out to omg.org. I guarantee you they're going to have somebody that definitely knows what's going on. All right. ESRI, E-S-R-I. It's lowercase, so don't even look at it for, capital letters. And his name is Marc, and he is in the hot seat. And I'm looking forward to the conversation. And right off the bat, Marc, I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to blow your mind.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
I grew up in Barstow, California.
Barstow, California. Did you really?
Yeah.
I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, I see Redlands right here.
Yeah, that's the office. That's not where I am. That's where about 3,000 ESRI employees, though, reside or at least drop in on a regular basis. We've got a huge campus there. It's like an oasis in the middle of the Inland Empire. Yep.
Yeah. I was all bummed out because I used to go to Redlands all the time.
Oh, did you? When was the last time you were there?
I can't remember.
You wouldn't recognize it.
No, I can't
you
remember.
You really
that.
wouldn't.
No, growing up in Barstow, when we would go to we get our school closed down the hill, over the pass and down the hill into San Bernardino and Redlands and Riverside.
That's
that whole
stomping
area.
Ground there. Yeah, that's the company stomping ground at least.
Yeah. Well, that just bombed.
Oh, no, it has completely changed in the last few years, I could say, in large part to ESRI. I was there maybe 20 years ago when I was in construction tech for another company and visited, and it was maybe 3 or 4 buildings with a bunch of trees, but now, like I said, 3,000 people are there it's literally an oasis of beautiful landscaping and boulders and glass buildings that you wouldn't recognize.
I think Redlands as a whole gets underappreciated.
It probably does.
I mean, you got. I was born in where was I born?
You forgot?
Fontana.
It's
Fontana. It's all in that area. It's like, and
well, the Inland Empire, that whole area kind of has
it's all one big piece of concrete.
Yeah, I mean, people don't brag about that area as much as maybe they should.
But Redlands, I'm telling you, man, not a bad place.
I almost moved there. Almost had to move there. I joined ESRI 3.5 years ago, just before COVID, and made 3 or 4 visits there. I was starting to do some house hunting, and then we proved we could do our job wherever we lived. So
that makes complete and utter sense. So that'll be good. Well, all right. For the listeners out there, Marc, just sort of level set.
Yeah.
On who you are, background. Why you're incredible professional from St. Louis, ish.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I joined ESRI about 3.5 years ago, having worked in the construction technology industries, the AEC industry as it's often known, for about 25 years prior to that. I've worked at Autodesk a couple of times, worked at Hexagon, consulted to the likes of Trimble, and crossed paths with most of the construction technology companies over my 30 or so years. Got involved real early on in the days of CAD, computer-aided design, got involved in building information modeling, BIM, back in its earliest days. Have worked for the big companies like I mentioned, as well as a few startups that I've helped get off the ground.
What are you, 75 years old?
I'm 75 years old. I actually started work at 6 years old out of kindergarten. Yeah, they recruited me off of the playground.
And then I did this, and I did that, and I got mad skills here, and my CV's 27
I haven't even
long.
started.
You haven't even started? Jeez. Yeah. I'm there. He's smarter than me, which is not saying much. Just FYI, that hurdle is quite low, my friend.
I don't know. Is that a compliment to me then?
It is. It's
okay.
I'll take it. It's a darn good one.
I'll take it.
Yeah. It's a darn good compliment. All right. He's giving me questions which I'm going to struggle with because I don't want to see if you can hear it,
can't even
you can
read
see it. And
just wing it.
Oh, I am. Okay, you're having a good quarterly meeting here?
Yeah, I actually had a few minutes just before this, where I had a chance to give an update on the National Institute of Building Sciences, an organization of the U.S. government who ensures that we build things most effectively, use technologies rather than doing things old-fashioned way, funded by our tax dollars to improve the way the built world gets built. So
Isn't it just it's a common struggle, right? The technology is the technology, right? Smart people developing the technology, all good stuff. But the reality is it's always a human equation.
Oh, always.
And when you're sitting there talking to a body of whatever, you just got to, are they going to adopt it? What are they going to do? Are they going to embrace it? Are they going to run with it? Are they going to say, or what, are they going to burn my house down? What is it?
Yeah, people want change, but they never want to change. So yeah, it definitely is the human element. You could cut the best technology, the best software, the best marketing around it, the best learning tools don't matter if people don't understand the value of the improvements that you're trying to,
But do you think it gets down to like the value, or is it just, I don't want the headache? I mean, sometimes, are you telling me I got to do something that I've been doing for X amount of years, and you're saying I got to do it differently? That's a headache. That sounds like a headache to me.
Oh, there's always that element of we've always done it this way. I've always done it this way. You're making my life harder, and yeah, you got to balance what might be a big picture improvement versus the individual who's got to change the way they think, and it gives them a headache every day. Why am I not using paper? Paper's easy.
This is true, and it's like the devil, It's like, it could be better, but I'll just do I'll write on this piece of paper.
Well, that's been the way of construction forever. I mean, I saw something the other day. Yeah. Someone pulled up an image that dated back 3,000 years. I guess it was essentially a floor plan for a pyramid or something, which pretty basic, a square, I guess. But walls and window openings and door openings carved in stone, and then right next to it, a drawing from maybe 10 years ago, which looked identical. So, we haven't changed in some ways all that much in 3,000 years, and yet, there's right on the edge of some really big changes that we're talking about here at the Digital Twin Consortium meeting.
And I no doubt about it. I just think it's exciting time. So, how are we changing? How are you saying, hey, this industry is going to change because of this technology? And by the way, listener, if you're out there and you're saying, I still like paper, just take a deep breath and learn this stuff, just FYI.
Yeah, so I don't know if necessarily it's because of the technology why we're changing. The technology certainly is changing the way we work, but I think the reasons behind it are bigger than the fact that software is just everywhere. I think that there's a few things going on.
Talk to me.
So, folks like you and I, who are in our last few years of our career. Hey, sorry, fella. Man. We're being replaced.
I'm never retiring.
It's whether you're retiring or not, someone else is going to come in, and they've grown up with a phone in their hand since birth. They've been in front of a computer screen for 20 or 30 years more than you, and they're just going to expect when they go to work.
I'm not listening to your gibberish.
No tech. As we're in front of multiple computers.
Right here, and I got the cameras, and I'm doing my switching things. Yeah.
You're a tech enthusiast, I can tell.
But
no, there really is a big shift, and it started way before COVID or way before digital twins were being discussed. The fact that baby boomers have been retiring and they're being replaced by millennials who, like I said, that tech is just their native language. And you're not going to want to go into work when you have to do things on paper when everything else in your life is done from the palm of your hand.
And I agree with you 100% on that. I think that old guys like us have to just get out of the way and allow the youth to come in that just makes decisions differently, navigates the challenges a little bit differently. I like the refreshness of that. It's like a nice cold beer.
Well, and construction industry, even the biggest construction companies are still very much relationship based, often generational. The grandson takes over for the dad who took over for grandpa. And in that instance of taking over generationally, that dynamic of the grandson coming in who was a digital native, changing the way whatever his dad implemented 20 years ago when they first started using CAD is now 3D modeling and using GIS, where I come from, going out in the field with survey tools that are completely digital and abandoning the transit and abandoning yellow pads for tech.
So with that said, I'm looking at your notes. I'm trying to. How is GIS impacting the industry?
Yeah, so GIS is something that, quite honestly, as an architecture, engineering, construction, technology guy, was on the sidelines for me. I was deeply involved in the tools for drawing and doing 3D modeling, and GIS, which stands for Geographic Information Systems, essentially digital mapping, spatial analysis, putting together all kinds of layers to help you understand context, was not something that was in my toolbox as I was in the fields of architecture, engineering, and construction. But for the last 5 years or so, Esri, who I work for, the largest company in this space, decided to make a significant shift in its strategy as it pertained to the AEC space. Instead of competing with Autodesk, we formed a partnership with them. So no longer are we vying for the same dollars and going neck to neck and head to head for project opportunities with our software. We're collaborating. Our tools work together. So now you might do your planning and your design work in a CAD application or a BIM application. You'll bring it directly into the GIS tool, or you'll create some maps in GIS made up of all kinds of layers, and then have them underlay your model. So you know where that bridge is in context to the city grid. You'll know where that building is and how it's oriented relative to the prevailing winds or traffic flow, or where the competition is for the client who you're working with. So GIS is making huge inroads.
So why is this important? I get it. It would be great to be able to know exactly where that road goes and exactly know where that bridge is set and that building and all of that. Why? I don't, for the listeners, explain why that's important.
Yeah, I think it boils down to one word: context. And the work that designers do, planners do, often exists without context. They'll start out their application, whether it's a computer-aided design CAD tool or a building information modeling BIM software, with a blank screen. And they've got to put that first line down, representing a wall or representing an alignment line through a city or a railroad yard that wants to expand. And without the context of what is around you, I don't see how these days you could make that educated guess, how you can make design decisions without that context. And that's what GIS brings uniquely compared to all these other technologies that folks use. They can see not just the city grid, they can understand where neighborhoods that need investment might be. They can understand.
How do they know that? So I got it, but how do they know that? Take us.
Yeah, I'll take you there. So yeah, I mean, GIS is a little bit of a black box to a lot of folks in a lot of industries if they haven't worked with it.
Yeah.
Whereas drawing tools and modeling tools, you're dropping roads onto a virtual piece of paper, or you're putting the building footprint onto a piece of paper. But GIS is all about data layers. Those layers might be satellite imagery. They might be census data that's been organized so that you can actually understand the demographics of a location. It might be important points of interest, whether it's landmarks or restaurants or grocery stores or hospitals. It might be weather patterns, like I said. So all these layers come together into a map-like, location-intelligent environment. And then on top of that, you start doing your planning and your designing and your construction planning.
It brings about a more holistic view of that area.
Very much so.
And you can probably layer in whatever your mind.
Oh,
I mean, it's
it
like whatever.
Beyond,
it's like okay, these are non-negotiables. You got to have this, and this, and there it is, right there. But we could pull in this, and we could do this, we could do this, we could pull in all of that, and boy, paint a hell of a picture.
Yeah, no, I mean, the kinds of things you can do with all the kinds of imagery that's being generated from satellites, fixed wing, drone, you can take those images now, run a deep learning model against that, and generate details about every single tree that's in your city. Yeah. Details about your lampposts that exist just through imagery. Overlay that, like I said, on top of the traffic flow patterns.
Okay.
Mind blown? Mind blown?
No, it's not yet. Okay. Not yet. But I am going to. How do you keep up? Let's say when you take trees change, things change.
Yeah,
everything change. How do you keep up with that?
The imagery is being collected on a daily basis. Our entire Earth is being mapped by satellites at whatever 100 miles or tens of miles above the surface. If your project is a little bit more dynamic than that and you can't rely on quarterly views from satellites that might be in your region, you might hire an airplane. You might hire a survey crew who are now flying Cessna 172s at 4,000 feet, capturing images. And these images actually aren't just a top-down view. They're coming in at multiple angles, able to generate a 3D model of your environment with the trees, with the buildings.
So I with that dynamic activity of identifying and keeping current with all of the different layers, and I could see that, and it just who's pushing that now. You're not. you're just providing a platform that can be able to do that.
Yes and no.
Because I was going to say, if I come to you and it's like, hey, I'm going to be doing something here.
Yeah. I mean, so Esri, we are the software provider.
Yes.
We're the ones who put together the desktop tools and the cloud-based tools and all kinds of extensions for doing all kinds of analysis against data. We ourselves aren't flying airplanes. But we've got, I think, 3,500, almost 4,000 partners.
There you go.
Who go out and collect data, who build extensions, who do consulting services on top of our software. So off the top of my head, a company called Nearmap, a company called Aerometrics, two companies who have dozens, if not hundreds of planes. Companies like Maxar, who are, have satellites circling the globe at any time and can get them to exactly where you need them to be to capture that imagery. And then we host that on a site called Living Atlas of the World, where if you're an Esri user, you've got a login, you go to that site.
How can I get a free login? Don't tell me.
You can go to livingatlas.esri.com and access this information. Some of it is freely available, some of it is through subscription, some of it you need an Esri software to plug it into, and then those are your layers.
Because the reality is that your software, if you have a constant flow of information that continues to add and create value for your platform, the more valuable it is for me.
Oh, certainly.
And,
exactly.
and it makes it simple.
Yeah. We can't expect every individual to go out and fly their own airplane to capture imagery.
No.
So we find partners that do that, or partners find us. We're about 50 years old. The founder started the company, come out of Harvard 50-something years ago with a degree in landscape architecture, opened up the business in Redlands, California, from Boston, and since then has grown it to, we're a multi-billion-dollar company with thousands of employees. And although we might do, in the neighborhood of $1 billion or $2 billion a year, our partners are another 10 to 20 times of that. So we're building out an economy of $20-30 billion around this GIS space through ourselves and our partners.
And the reality is that I see one, if I understand all of these patterns and I overlay it in an area, then it helps me, and I'll simplify it dramatically, make better business decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is.
Yeah,
Do I really want to be here given this, that, and the other thing? Because it's all accurate data. So that's interesting.
Well, yeah, business decision, through my lens of architecture, engineering, and construction, it's how do you want your building oriented and how do I use less energy on this building? It's all, around the built world. But if you're Walgreens or Target or Walmart or Starbucks, you want to know where your store should be. And you want your store to be based on the best demographic information and where your competitors are and where the traffic flow is going, all that.
You know what I think? I think Walgreens finds the place and then GNC goes across the street.
Well, they very often do. Well, so if you're GNC, you want to know where all the Walgreens are. And where were they successful and where did they only last for 6 months?
So listener, if you go out there and find a Walgreens, I guarantee you there's a GNC someplace near.
Put a glass on that map and draw a circle around the right there, and you'll find at least one GNC within an orange juice glass away from that Walgreens.
Even in my small town, it's like, oh, check it out. Anyway, so where do you see it going?
Where do I see it going?
Yeah. What's the future look like outside of the fact that this is pretty doggone cool?
Create my crystal ball here and start looking
put that
into
on. Karnak's hat on.
In some ways, what we're talking about here at this conference, Digital Twin Consortium, we've been doing for a long time. We've been building virtual models of our physical space, collecting information of that physical space, and then visualizing it somehow in a 3D environment, hopefully, so that you know what's going on. That's just going to become mainstream and commonplace for projects of all size. Yeah. I think typically in the past, it was projects that were more complex, that were more mission critical. Hospitals and airports, certainly this has become standard. I think these capabilities of putting sensors in buildings, understanding their conditions, and then automatically affecting that building, opening windows, turning on chillers, controlling traffic, automatically is going to become standard practice as sensors and physical models and the virtual model and great visualization all come together.
Did we cover everything?
I think we covered a lot. I don't know. I could talk about this for hours. How much time do you have?
I got it, man. I can. Well, I could too, but I don't think it is what it is. Very cool. Very cool stuff, man. I'm just telling you, I'm all giddy about the future.
I am too. The future's so bright, I gotta wear shades, right?
Yeah, there you go. By the way, I like your glasses.
Thanks,
Good
man.
specs, man.
All right.
How do people get a hold of you?
They can probably find me on LinkedIn individually and personally really easily. Marc Goldman, Marc with a C. Esri.com/AEC is where you'll find the website where we're talking about everything that Esri does for the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. And how about aecinfo@esri.com for an email address?
He's Mark. If this whole esri thing doesn't work out, he's got a great future in podcasting.
I'm looking forward to it.
You're absolutely spectacular. All right, as usual, we're going to have all the contact information for Mark, Esri, out on industrialtalk.com. So fear not. Don't worry. You'll be able to get a hold of him. The future's bright. Learn more about it. Connect. Collaborate. Find out more. Go to, here's the plug, omg.org. Make that happen. Find people like Mark with a C. All right. We're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk and for your continued support. I can't encourage you enough to go out to omg.org. That was in DC. That was Q1. And it's a collection of these professionals that want to solve problems and want to big time help you succeed and defining those standards. You get people like Marc, M-A-R-C, not K, Goldman. Esri is the company, and they're doing a lot with GIS, BIMs, Digital Twin. It's happening. And the only encouragement that I can get you is that you continue to educate, you continue to collaborate with Marc, and of course, the innovation that has to happen because it's happening. And so just make it happen. That is omg.org. Find out more. They're great people. I can't say that enough. All right, Industrial Talk. It is an ecosystem that is continuously expanding. And it really wants to just highlight the professionals, the individuals within industry, and just really celebrate what's taking place. You need to be a part of it. It's easy. Just go out to industrialtalk.com. Reach out to me and just be able to say, hey, Scott, I want to be a part of this organization, this platform. Then we have a conversation. It's just that simple. You need to be able to be a part of it. All right, be bold, be brave, dare greatly. Hang out with people like Marc with a C, and you're going to change the world. We're going to have another great conversation coming from OMG Q1 shortly, so stay tuned.